While we took a look at Smart Call Home from a concept perspective, here's the really interesting part. We're going to do a short demo here to see what Smart Call Home can do for you in your network. We will take a sample network here where we have a 6500 switch, which is a test device we're using. This will be inside your network, and through a firewalled safe connection, a secure connection through the internet, this device can actually send the necessary information to the Smart Call Home system in the backend. While we understand this general picture, let's take a look at the device itself we're using here. This is a Catalyst 6500 for test purposes, which is located here in Bangalore. While we've taken a look at the actual device, it's important for us to look at the command line options that we've got to simulate a failure. Now, this is a Catalyst 6500 switch, and I can show you the modules that are present here. We have the supervisor and the line cards here, and we are going to be using one of these to simulate a failure to see what happens. Now, the configuration of Smart Call Home is very straightforward, fairly straightforward, I would say. There's only a couple of things that we need to configure. We need to configure the contact information for a customer, and we need to configure the methods that are used. While we're not going into detail, I'll just like to show you the actual configuration that's on the box here. So I'm just doing a show run section call home, which is going to show me the call home configuration on this device. There are many options that we can choose here in the ways that we wanted to implement the alert mechanism. The contact details go in this part, which is mandatory, and there's the other part, which is the profile. This is where you would set the method that would be used to communicate to the backend and back to you. You can choose HTTP, you can choose HTTPS, you can choose email, and the other alert groups that you want to configure to, like diagnostic, environment, and syslog. While we'll not go into the details of each of these, we would actually like to run a test and see how a failure would actually look. Now, on the 6500, we have the capability to simulate a failure of a line card diagnostics. Let's see how it happens. It's quite fun, actually. What I'm saying here is I'm just giving the command test diagnostics simulation failure, and I would need to choose which module I'm talking here about. I'm using module number 1, and I need to select which of the goal diagnostic tests is going to fail in this case for simulation. The most common test is the test loopback, which is test ID 1 here, and I'm going to select the port number 1 on this line card to fail. Well, is that all? We've set up the test to fail, but we would actually need to do the test right now. I would enter the command diagnostic start module number test number. We know the test number is 1, and the port that we're going to run this test on, port number 1. There's a message here that says running this might disrupt normal operation. Do you want to continue? In this case, yes. We get some messages on the screen. Module 1 test loopback result is simulated, and test loopback ID 1 has failed. Error code is 0xFFF, which is the test loopback's the diagnostic error code for failure. While this message has come up on the screen, we would wonder what is actually happening with Smart Call Home. What will happen actually is a message getting sent across to the Smart Call Home backend, this backend processing this information and taking the decision based on that, and then communicating back to me as a customer. While that has happened, I would have received this email here, which looks like this. Dear Smart Call Home user, we've received a diagnostic message from the device with the device name here, for which you're a contact person. This device with the Supervisor 720 with this 6509 chassis has reported a goal diagnostic test failure. The details of this failure can be found on the Smart Call Home portal, which is in the link here, and all the details of this failure with the serial number of the device and all of the relevant information is there here at this point without any user intervention. And is this all that we get from the system? Is it just an email that we get? Actually not. The most important part of the email is yet to come here. The message has been processed and service request 213 has been created. To review this service request, please go to the service request tool here where you can view the service request. If we see this point here, we've already processed the information, and since this is a critical failure for that port, a service request has already been opened automatically without any intervention from the user until this point. And all the necessary information that is required to confirm the failure has already been provided to the TAC engineer on the service request. Isn't that great? What more can we view here from the perspective of the device and the failure? Well, the Smart Call Home portal is a stronghold of information. When we click this link, it would actually take us to the Smart Call Home portal where we will find information about this particular failure that has happened. So we will understand here that this is the 6409 chassis with the host name here has failed this particular test. Well, there are details and recommendations as well here. I can view more problems on the detail, which will tell me what the nature of the detail and what's the background of this problem and what is the consequence. This port will be shut down in an error disabled state and the module will reset if all the ports fail. There's also a recommendation which is very important from a customer point of view to look at and take as the first actions to do here. So all these tests can be used by us to determine what the next steps are before TAC is involved. TAC, the service request has already been opened, and TAC will contact you and give the recommendations or the RMA in this case, and we can proceed on the service request like a normal service request. Well, there are quite a lot of other options on the Smart Call Home portal, because of which it's a stronghold of information. We've got the device report tool here, which will give me complete information about the device, and this is the device we're talking about, and if I click the link here, it'll give me more specific information on this device. All the details about the device, like for example the hardware submodules, the hardware modules that are installed on the device, the supervisor, the line cards, and even the configuration backup that happens periodically that you can configure is shown here. Well, there's another important part, the advisories column here, which shows us this hardware and the software end of support and advisories based on the hardware, software and firmware versions that's running on the box. This can be used by us at any point of time to keep our devices up and running in the best possible way. While this is device specific, we also have the option for a history report. The history report can be run over a particular period of time, and it will give us information historically about what all the activities that happened on the device. For example, here we've had inventory backups here, lots of inventory backups here. We had a diagnostic failure that was generated at this point of time. A service request had been opened for it. Similarly, there was inventory backups and another diagnostic failure that happened and a service request was open. This way, it not only do we know about a single failure, we also get a lot of information about the device history on the error messages that are seen on the device. In summary, the Smart Call Home here gives us quite a lot of capabilities as we saw through this demo.